The next day, I remember my family was sitting at the table in the kitchen, and then my mother was cooking. And then out of the corner of my eye, I seen two trucks pull up, guys jump out the back, and then start letting off rounds into the house. And then, yeah, all my family members started getting hit, with bullets and stuff like that. And then I was able to, run out the back.
Welcome back to the Invest in Yourself podcast. Today I'm joined by a cartel victim survivor. His name is Steve Prohaska, aka Big Steve. Steve's family was tragically murdered by members of the cartel and leaving him an orphan. Steve went through a lot during this time, was fortunate enough to get adopted and moved to the United States. He took full advantage of coming to the United States, and he got involved with business. He is overall known for being an orphan and becoming a millionaire. Please subscribe to my channel for more interviews like this, and without further ado, let's get into Steve's story. All right, welcome back, everyone. Today I got a really cool guest on today. Steve, man, how you doing, man? I'm glad we were finally able to link up and make this happen, man. You got a really good story. You've faced a lot of adversity growing up, and I just think you're a really great fit for the show, man. So how you doing today?
Good, good, good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely, man. I think the best way to give the people a little background on your story is, growing up and stuff. You weren't from, the United States, right? So you were from a whole different area. So kind of give a little background of where you came from, man.
Sure. So I was born in Cali, Colombia. I lost my parents due to gun violence as a young kid. That made me an orphan. Then a church took me in, cleaned me up, and then got me into an orphanage in Medellin, Colombia. And
Yeah.
then I was in the orphanage for a little bit, and then I got adopted by two parents that came from America that flew to Colombia, and they adopted me.
Wow. Yeah. So you had quite the childhood, man. Just really a lot of emotional and stuff that you went through. And
hmm
what was the whole situation? If you can expand on that with the murders and stuff within your family.
Well, my uncle and my father were involved with the Colombian cartel. They were muling for the cartel, cocaine, and then I ended up losing my family for that reason.
Damn. And I mean, how old were you at that point?
I was 5.
Damn. So really young. So when that
hmm
happened, like, do you remember anything or remember your parents or?
I remember a little bit about it. To be honest with you, the last thing I really remember is my uncle and my father fighting one day in the kitchen. I don't know the exact details. I'm assuming that my father wanted to get out of working for the cartel and arguing back and forth. And then I remember having luggages in the kitchen. So I was assuming something big was happening with my family, that we were going to leave or go someplace. And then the next day, I remember my family was sitting at the table in the kitchen, and then my mother was cooking. And then out of the corner of my eye, I seen two trucks pull up, guys jump out the back, and then start letting off rounds into the house. And then, yeah, all my family members started getting hit, with bullets and stuff like that. And then I was able to, run out the back, and then, yeah, run to the closest church. That's
Damn. That's horrible, man. What really happened after that? Like, did the cops even really investigate there or anything like
Yeah,
that?
I don't remember all that, but I'm assuming not, because in Colombia a lot of the police are corrupt. And to be honest with you, a lot of the police that do know what's going on, they're afraid to come forward, because during that time era in the 80s, I don't know if you know, the cartel was heavy, and that they had a lot of influence, whether it was police corruption, political corruption, and a lot of police officers can't even show their faces because you're a marked target for the cartel.
Jeez.
So, I being a little kid, I didn't know the ins and outs. All I know is the violence is happening in front of me, and I had to run for my life. You know what I mean? And then it was a shock, to be honest with you. Like when I ran to the church, a nun took me in, cleaned me up. I was still in adrenaline, remember? And then I was depressed seriously for a few weeks, and then I just started playing with the kids like it was almost another day, at the office, sort of a speak, But the inside, it was emotionally and mentally. How do I say this? Not draining, but like almost like warfare. That it caused me to have PTSD. You know.
Yeah.
And then I began my life in the orphanage until I was adopted.
And how was the orphanage? Like, was there a lot of people there, a lot of kids, a lot of
Yeah, it
adults?
was. I want to say about 100 kids, give or take. It was a whole bunch of little kids. We didn't have regular clothes like everybody. We had a gown that just basically covered our whole chest, and then our private parts all the way down to our knees. And then some of the kids didn't have shoes or sandals, but some kids had sandals. Uh, and then the nuns would ring the bell when the food in the cafeteria, and then for the kids to eat, and then all the kids had to run, and that was survival. That's a whole nother fight. So I ended up not even fighting for the food because it was slop, soup, potatoes. And there was times that I would just go to bed just hungry from starvation, not starvation, but from hunger, and the food being such crap you know and I ended up, sometimes I would eat the food because you have no choice, right? You have to stay alive. And the other times I didn't want to eat it because I was just give me, throw up, either a diarrhea or stomach cramps. But yeah, it was hell. It was hell, to be honest with you. I prayed every day, God, give me a chance, get out of here. And yeah, I was in a bunk bed in a room that had three, six, nine, maybe 12 kids per room, give or take.
Damn, it's a
Yeah,
lot. It's a
yeah,
lot, man.
yeah.
Did you, with the other kids there and stuff, did you have siblings? I guess that's what I was gonna ask you first.
No, they were all killed. I was the last that
Nothing.
survived in my family. But
Damn.
when I got adopted, my parents also adopted another boy who was from another family. That actually he grew up. We grew up brothers. We're not blood brothers, but we grew up as brothers.
Right.
You know, so we became brothers. We're just not blood.
Yeah. So you just going in there and stuff, you were able to did you get along with kids and stuff like that, or was there any little
No, it was a lot of fighting. I mean, we're fighting as far as the food, the pillows, the blankets, and then the toy. We really didn't have toys, so there was a yard in the back, which had a swing set and then like a slide, and there was a little sandbox. I used to play in the sand a lot, and then swing on the swings a little bit. That was when the kids really, I guess, let loose, sort of to speak, to try to be normal. I mean, some kids didn't have parents, some parents didn't want them. Mine were killed, you know. Uh, but there were scuffles inside the dorms where the kids were, our bunk beds were, and we would fight. The kids would fight for pillows, blankets, because remember the nuns only gave X amount for the beds. You know what I mean? Of course, you're gonna have some kids that want two pillows, some kids that want two blankets, and then that's when the fights start happening, and it's basically survival of the fittest. To be honest with you.
damn, man. So even just so much crap that was thrown at you, man, just at such an early age. It's just
Yeah,
a terrible thing.
I seen actually a kid. To be honest with you, I seen a kid choke another kid to death for a pillow.
Really.
A kid killed another kid for a pillow.
That's horrible. That's
So what do you do? Kids are screaming. It's not whatever. You don't say anything because you know what I mean. It's what happened here. I don't know. We don't know. You don't know. Say
yeah. Damn, man. So
so.
after how many years were you there then?
About a year. Was there for
Damn.
about a year, and then one time when I was playing in the sandbox, I seen two white people come into the office with the nuns. I didn't hear a conversation. I'm just looking through the window, and I see the people talking, and then I got motion to come over. One of the nuns called me over. They put me in a room. I ended up playing with some toys. I didn't really meet who I hate saying this, but the white people compared to the complexion of my skin, because you could tell they weren't from the area. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm just a little boy playing, with the cars on the floor. And then the second time they came, which was months later, the nuns actually cleaned me up, which you'll actually see pictures of me in my book From Orphan to Millionaire. You'll see pictures of some of the clothes that I was in when I was living in the orphanage, and then some of the pictures from me from getting in the fights with the kids, how they punished us. You know what I mean? So what happened was the second time with the mother and father that came, they introduced themselves to me, and pretty much I was on my way out. They took me out for ice cream. Uh, then we headed to the airport, and that was a whole screaming incident in itself. I had to
Mm.
have everyone in the whole entire airport knew something was happening. I'm screaming because remember, I just lost my parents about a year ago, give or take. Now a new family is taking me away from the orphanage that I've been living, that I guess I considered my home, right?
Mhm.
Now I'm going on an airplane. I never seen an airplane in my life. So I'm screaming, I'm kicking, I'm thinking they're kidnapping me. It was crazy. Uh, so the stewardess from the when when you go into an airport before you board the airplane, so stewardess had to accompany me onto an airplane, right? Started giving me all these little candies. When you get the little nuts back in the day on the airplane, little bag of nuts,
Oh,
and then
okay.
you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
like a soda or a drink. I'm
Yeah.
all excited. I'm getting free snacks. I'm like, oh shit, they're kidnapping me, but I guess it's okay because I got free snacks.
Yeah.
So a lot's going through my mind. I'm just like, what's going on?
So did they explain to you though, like the orphanage? Because I'm sure, like the parents that adopted you, they only spoke English, or did they know
They
Spanish, or?
did know Spanish. So I
Oh,
was
okay.
adopted by two doctors, Dr.
Oh,
Ellen Frank and Dr. Charles Prohaska. So they were
okay.
both doctors. At the time, as a little boy, I didn't know they were doctors, but
Right.
they were introduced as doctors. But as a little kid, you really don't know what a doctor is. All I know is I'm walking with these two parents. They're buying me ice cream. I get my first haircut because I never had a haircut when I was in Colombia. I had long hair down here, and then I ended up getting what do they call it? A bowl cut.
A bowl cut. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I have that. That's the bowl cut is the picture of me on my
Yeah.
book, from Orphan and Millionaire. So I
Looking
get that
fly.
haircut. Yeah. So that, and then I get on the airplane. We fly all the way here to America. We land. I think it was LaGuardia. I think I don't remember as a kid. And then we jumped into a car and we drove to Trumbull, and that's when I got introduced to my first home. And then
I went.
I was scared, but I was excited. They walked me to my bedroom. They turned the light on. At first, I'm traumatized. I'm like, leave the lights on. I never took my shoes off for like 4 days. They gave me the first pair of shoes when I was at the orphanage because they had to dress me, right.
Mhm.
So I was so scared because I didn't have sneakers. I ended up sleeping in my bed with my shoes, right. And it took, I want to say, about a week till I felt comfortable enough that my mother's like, it's okay to take your sneakers off. No one's gonna take your stuff. Like, this is your room, this is your bed, and for the first couple nights, I didn't even sleep on the bed. I slept on the floor. You
Wow.
know,
Yeah.
so
Just a lot of mental stuff going on for you, man. That's a
yeah,
lot for a
yeah,
kid too. Really a whole lot to really put
yeah.
on a
So
kid.
it's So the first few weeks after being adopted, I was getting situated to having free meals. My father was cooking me breakfast. Like I didn't know it was mine. At first, I'm eating fast with my hands because I didn't know if it was going to be my last meal. And then my father was just like, "It's okay. No one's going to take your food." And then it was consistent. I was given breakfast. I was given lunch. I was given dinner. I started learning the routine. You know, at first I'm like, oh my God, I get free food and no one's taking my food and the food's actually pretty good. And then, I got a bathroom and it was amazing. So it was a lot though. It was a lot. You know what I mean? Uh, and then after I got situated, I don't know, I want to say a few weeks, then they introduced me to the school system, the middle school
Mhm.
in Trumbull. So that was a change for me too. I had to hold a backpack. I had a collared shirt on, shorts. I had to be escorted into the room, and then the teacher introduced herself. They introduced me as the new student, and then I started realizing I'm different. So I started becoming, how do I say this, rebellious. Because remember, I didn't speak English yet, so I
And
was
when
practicing.
did they
So
put you in English classes, or did they like put you in like ELA classes, English learning kind of classes?
So they
Or
put me in the regular class, but I had like a lady come into the class to help translate for a while for me,
oh,
until I was able to almost work, speak, broken English myself. And
mhm.
even then, I had to go see someone to help work on my English. But it was at that process. Remember, I'm a little boy, and those changes were hard on me because I see the kids looking at me. You know you're different, but you just got to roll with the punches. Just do the best you can, you know. And
Hmm.
then during that time, those 2 years, I was started to rebel because I didn't know, really the adjustment. So what happened? We went back to Colombia, and my parents adopted another boy, and then that boy became my brother. His name is Mike. He's from a different part of Colombia. From the same orphanage, but different part of Colombia. His parents were sheep herders, and yeah, they put their hands on him. They roughed him up. So his family was different. My family was into the drugs and the guns, and his family was into beating up the little kids and stuff like that.
Damn,
Uh,
it's terrible. So you and
so
him knew each other though, and you got along pretty well from because you were in the
yes,
orphanage with him prior to coming over
yeah.
to
See, the thing
America.
is, I didn't remember him. See that
Oh,
that I don't have memory of, but I remember when we went back to the orphanage. I seen a little boy. I'm like, I want him to be my brother. I picked him out of all the kids running around, and then they ended up signing paperwork. It was weird. It was almost like going to the grocery store and picking out like a gallon of milk, sort of a thing.
yeah. I mean, it really is a strange process, but you're right. There's like a lot of kids and stuff out there that really are in these orphanages and need help, and it's unfortunate, man. But you were fortunate enough to come here, and you
Yeah,
really used your opportunity to make a name for yourself. And
yeah.
when
So what happened was is that so we adopted him when we came back to America. Went back to the house in Trumbull. We didn't stay in Trumbull for long. After my brother was brought back over here, we eventually moved to Southington, Connecticut, and then that's when my brother and I really started bonding. At that time, we were like 7, 8, and that's when we and him really started bonding. And my personality started coming out as a young little boy because I felt comfortable because I had another little boy that was same skin tone as me, spoke Spanish as me. I had someone to relate to, so it made things easier for me out in the world. You know what I'm saying?
oh yeah, that's
So
gonna that,
we came real close. We started playing sports together, and then that's when my business really started kicking in. I started selling was it Snickers and like the M&Ms
oh yeah.
for football, right? I played
Hmm.
flag football as a little kid, and instead of selling the candies for $1 each, like the coach said, I ended up selling for $3 and $4 each. So I would come home with a few extra $100, and my mother ended up taking my money away, and I'm like, yo, well, you're taking my money, my dinero. Like I earned that, and I didn't know that was just me using my mental. You know what I mean? From doing the things I had to do in the orphanage,
Right.
and then that's when my parents saw I had an entrepreneur spirit, and then that's when they started feeding me knowledge as far as marketing, managing, uh, and just the entrepreneur classes and then and the business aspects of the world. So I started focusing more when I got into high school and really business classes. And at that time, I was growing into myself and really started taking a liking. I hate to say it's taking a liking to my parents because I was pretty much all right. These are my parents now. Like, okay,
Hmm.
I'm here.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So
It just took a
now
little to adjust, right?
yeah, so I was dealing with the adjustments while the time I was going from middle school to high school. I was seeing a therapist a couple times a week, even a psychologist from all the PTSD and all the stuff that I went through, so how to deal with it. It's still a life going process right now. I haven't found all the answers. For me, it's I'll have to live through it to the rest of my life. But I learned how to deal with it. I'm more at peace with it instead of fighting myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that for anyone to go through any kind of thing like that, yeah, that forever change a person for sure, no matter what age, man.
So to be honest with you, how I ended up really doing with that, I had a chip on my shoulder. So I used the knowledge. So I asked a lot of questions about business to my mother and my father, and they really took to me on that. So they pushed the classes, they pushed the knowledge. The saving, the investing, being smart with your money. That really started at a young age. I started investing into the stock market. I was less than 13. You
Really,
know,
13?
yeah.
How,
So
how'd you do that? Like through your
so
parent, your
I would
dad, or
have
something?
little jobs. So like you have paper routes as a little kid. I'd ride bicycles, do paper routes and things like that. Get a couple dollars, and then I'd give it to my mother. and she would, buy certain stocks like McDonald's, Nike back in the day, Coca-Cola, uh, and
Those
then
are all big names. Yeah.
yeah, because see, I was able to travel, so I seen certain companies throughout the world, and that's why I was like, oh man, how are they over here and they're making money? They're not over here. You know what I mean? But see, like I said, I asked a lot of questions. You
Yeah.
know, like when I was selling candy bars, I go, who gave me the candy bars? The coach gave us the candy bars. Coach, where did you get the candy bars? Well, Steve, I got them from the store. So I go, okay, so you bought the candy bars for $20. You want us to sell them for X amount of dollars, so we make X amount of dollars, and that pays for the uniforms. Okay. So if I sell them, you want $1 for a candy bar, and I sell them for $3, but I only give you $1, and I pocket 2 or 3. Okay, there's 100 candy bars. I'm going home with 200, 300, $400.
Right.
So you can see where it starts adding up in the little boy's head.
Yeah. Well, what did it like throughout high school and stuff? What did it lead to more, and like did more business wise? Like, where did you go with your business mind?
So the business mind that started me going into working, and then I would just save my money and give my money to my mother to invest into the companies. And the companies I invested in as a young kid, Pfizer, I invested heavily into the medical field. I invested into technologies like Apple. I invested big time money. Went way back. I'm talking 2000, less than 2099. You know what I mean? When the
Wow.
old computers, when the old square box computers, because,
Yeah.
my mother ended up telling me, listen, Steve, you got to invest into people that are always pushing the envelope,
Hmm.
always researching to try to better themselves, because they might not have a new product right now, but if they're always researching, eventually they're going to hit something. And if you have money in that company, it's going to go off.
That's smart. That's a good word of advice right
you
there.
know
Yeah.
so what did that teach me? So I started looking around when I was in high school. What was that, ninth grade? I was eighth into ninth grade. All the kids around me, I seen some of them wear this company called Under Armour. So I'm like, oh man, this is interesting. Oh mom, all these guys are wearing these kind of t-shirts and these shorts, and okay, so we looked up the company. So I started investing into Under Armour. Now, fast forward 30 years, you got Steph Curry, who signed what, $1 billion deal with Under Armour, sneaker
Yeah.
deal, whatever,
Whatever. Yeah. No, it's a huge company. You
whatever the
see it
amount is.
everywhere.
But
Yeah.
back then, the company was small. But I saw the potential because I started seeing all the athletes and the kids in the gym. Remember, I'm eighth, ninth grade. You're playing your sports, you're working out. You see kids, what are they working out and what are they wearing every day? So my parents were telling me, Steve, pay attention to what kids and parents and people are using and or consuming around you, and those products that they're doing on a consistent basis is what you want to invest in, because eventually that's going to build up.
Yeah, and that's true. Where do you see it every day? You see an Apple iPhone or an Apple laptop or anything
But
like
see,
that's.
by the time, see, this is the thing. By the time you see that, the investment has already had to have been done, and that's when you cash out. You
Yeah.
know what I
You
mean? So what
right.
happens is everything that I've learned back then, I apply the principle now, but in a different way. So I'll give you an example. As I got older, I had my oldest son. I was 24. I had my oldest son, right? So I'm like, okay, dad, now I'm a father. I got to really pay attention now. I got to do well. So what do I start investing in? I started investing into video games, GameStop.
Oh, GameStop. Okay.
So why did I do that? Because my kid loves games. So I ended up going to GameStop every other week, this and that, whatever, new game, this and that, whatever. So I'm like, what the fuck? I'm paying a lot of money for this. So what do? I invest into GameStop. What happened? What, a couple years ago, Elon Musk, whatever, made a tweet on Twitter, this and that, whatever. I don't know what happened. GameStop went through the roof. I
Yep.
made my kids a lot of money.
Wow, man, that's insane. You just never know, but you got to follow it, I suppose, to really
Yeah.
understand it and really be able to make a lot of money with it.
hmm
But you had that in your mind, so that was always a part of your mindset. So you ended up going to college and stuff like that too, then?
Yeah, so I graduated high school in 2000. Ended up getting I went to college at Southern in Hamden, Connecticut. Graduated in 2004 with my bachelor's in business management and a minor in business marketing and human performance.
There.
So with that, I was doing something in business. I like to go to the gym, so I got a minor in human performance, which is like physical training, personal training sort of a thing. And then the marketing. I love marketing. Excuse me. So I took all those classes, and then I started my job. 2004, I graduated to the corporate world, and I was a manager at Sherwin-Williams. And then that's when I started realizing that I was making the corporate people a lot of money.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
so when I signed on, it was 2004. I signed on to be assistant store manager for 42,000 a year, and then I hit all the bonuses because I used all my skills and knowledge as far as the marketing of the paint. You know, go here. We're gonna put this on sale. Then we're gonna put this, and where you place the product in the store, what price you're gonna put it on. How you speak to the customers, and I hit all those markers every quarter, and then I made my boss a lot of money. I made my boss's boss a lot of money. So I ended up realizing corporate world isn't for me. You can be the smartest guy, but you're gonna make a lot of people a lot of money before you yourself are gonna make a lot of money.
That's true. Very true.
So what did I ended up doing? I ended up leaving, Sherwin Williams, and then ended up selling furniture at Raymore and Flanagan for a little bit. This is more okay. I got some sales experience. Okay, I can sell my own stuff. I actually ended up getting fired from there. I had my son at that time, and then I started my own landscaping business. That's when I became a real entrepreneur, full time. But before then, when I was working at the paint store, part time, I was working at the nightclub. So
Hmm.
remember, during the time frame before I had my son, when I was working at the nightclub, I would work 1 day a week, saved it, gave my money to my mother, pretending like I made no money. Now I work 2 days a week at the nightclub, still worked my full time job, would give her the money, and then it became so much that I was making more money at my nightclub than I was my full time job.
Wow. Damn.
So so one night turned into 2 nights, turned into 3 nights, turned to 4 nights, and then I was rubbing elbows with the owners, a lot of people in the nightclub and restaurant business, a lot of people in the music business, and that just catapulted my my business sense and my being professional, uh, doing good business, being honorable, being a man of your word. And then following through what you say you're going to do, and then just I kept making more side money and giving it to my mother. I always stayed less than my budget, so if I was making $1,000 a week, I was living off 700 and investing 300.
Damn,
And I
that's smart. Very disciplined.
Yes, it
That
wasn't
is.
easy. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy. There was a lot of times, many years that I was eating. I don't know if you remember back in the day, at Wendy's they had the 99-cent salads.
Oh,
So
okay. Damn, 99 cents. Yeah, I was born in 2000, man. So you're a little bit older than me, but no, damn that's what you were surviving off of then, huh?
yeah, yes. I was working at the nightclub part time. I was at the paint store, and then I got fired from the nightclub business. I was messing around, joking around with the girls, playing around, this and that, whatever. So the gentleman that fired me, Mike Roviello, rest in peace, the one that taught me everything, him and Al Kakamo. And I told him, I said, listen, I'm going to come back and I'm going to take your money. So I ended up leaving, and then I got into furniture sales. Then I started my own landscaping business, and then I started running strip clubs. And then I saved some of my money, and then my father gave me some money, and then I ended up going back to the nightclub, and I bought 50%.
Damn, how did that go? How was that, man?
So originally they wanted to sell the whole nightclub. The deal I was researching online at bizquest.com, nightclub for sale, and it showed me the numbers, it showed me the location, and then I ended up meeting the broker. After they vetted me, I met the broker at the nightclub, and then I met Al, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh, you don't remember me? Oh, Big Steve. I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, it's me. I'm the one interested into buying the club. At first, they wanted to sell the whole thing, 100%. I told them I was not going to do that because I was afraid of me giving them the money and then them, fixing the paperwork. I wouldn't know what to do. So I gave them a counter proposal. I said, what would you think about me giving you 50%? You train me for 2 to 4 years. Once I'm comfortable enough and the money is right, I'll start paying you a note on the other 50% of the club. So at first they said no. Okay, my heart was broken. I ain't gonna lie. I got a call a couple months later. What did you have in mind, Big Steve? I wrote up the deal. Then history was done. Signed paperwork in what, '07. Legally became partners, 49% owner. And then so I was running one nightclub, and then I ended up doing construction in the nightclub and making it into two nightclubs.
Damn, so you
So
really expanded on it and made it a bigger operation.
yes. So my theory was this: if you have one nightclub, you have only 100% chance of doing well, right? So
Hmm.
it's either going to do good or it's going to do bad. So what if I said if I broke it into two nightclubs and I had two different ideas going on? Now I got more of a chance. So even if one nightclub doesn't do well and I got money coming in another nightclub, I technically did good.
Right. That's true.
So that's what I ended up doing at the nightclub. So I owned Tuxedo Junction in Danbury and then Club Lush in Danbury.
Damn.
And
So how'd they do? Did they do pretty well then?
I did well for the first few years. The first year was just me really hanging around, really learning the business. A lot of people, I did. How do I say this? I was under the scenes, under the radar. I didn't tell anyone I was owner because I didn't want people to be scared off that I was a new owner. So
Hmm.
basically, I would hang around the bar. You know what I mean? I'd hang around for a while, and it wasn't until about a year that I actually made the announcement. By the way, I'm one of the owners.
And how did that go over? I mean, did it go
Oh,
over
for,
okay?
with the staff, they had an idea. The customers thought I was just a guy that came there a lot. Uh,
Yeah, I
but
mean, you're just there.
I didn't want to shock the people because I didn't want people to not go or go. Like I didn't want it. It's different when you have a completely new owner and you have certain customers that are loyal. They're loyal not to the business. They're loyal to the person running the business.
I
You
guess
know what
that's
I
true.
mean?
Yeah,
So you
actually,
have
that.
to see the thing is when and with any business, you have to establish your own credibility, and the customers and the people and your staff have to take a liking to you, right? If
Hmm.
you don't do that, you're literally starting from scratch, and I mean zero. You're building a business. You're not buying into a business.
Right.
So
I
I
can see
learned
that.
that. So I was very smart on that. So what happened was is that I gained the acceptance and the respect from the workers. Well, the staff. I don't want to say workers. The staff, and then the clients. You know, the guests that came in. And then I started doing my own shows, my own parties. Learned how to book, artists, how to manage them, and then how to manage the bar, how to make the money from the bar in the nightclub, and then invested into some real estate.
And
So
so you made,
a
yeah,
lot was going on, a lot was going on. So
yeah,
I was learning the nightclub business. It's in the street life, just like you see in the movies. Uh, I won't say a lot about my partners. They were great. They know exactly how to make money. They know what to do with the money, and they know how to handle politics.
hmm.
Uh, they're Italian and they're from Yonkers.
Oh, okay. Some
So
some cool guys then, huh?
yeah, yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
during
Well,
that time frame, I lost my father. My father ended up passing uh,
yeah.
when I was running the club, and then that was hard. And then at that time, I let my little son start living full time with my mother. And then I took more of a role on just handling my family business affairs and then also my nightclubs. And then as my mother got older, I got a little bit more worried. And then I got out of the business in 2015 when my associates got federally incarcerated, whom you and I spoke about earlier. Uh, Mr. Bick, my young protege,
Yeah.
ended up in federal prison. And then, like I said, I got out of the nightclub life. He went to federal prison, so I was retired for a little bit. And then I was still working. It was a car parts store. I was doing odd and end things even when I was retired, and I was doubling up my money even then.
Just
So
didn't, never wanted to stop, man. He just kept going
no,
and
no,
going.
it's just it didn't really stop. It was just gung ho to be honest with you. And then a few years later after that, my mother died. So
Uh,
I went from that, doing that, and then got into the box trucks, and then my mother passed. Uh, Now I had to run everything. I had to run all my family stuff. You know what I
uh,
mean? So I ended up consolidating all my real estate, all my houses that I own. I sold everything. I sold my vacation house to my brother, and then I bought a nice house in Bristol, Connecticut, and then yeah, then I started getting heavy into the podcast and film industry. Shout out to my podcast, Parental Vision. Thank you. And then I created a TV show, Single Fathers, which I'm in the process of selling it to a network.
Oh
Uh,
shit. So
yeah,
you
yeah,
do still got a lot of stuff you're juggling,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
your book
yeah.
too.
My book, From Orphan to Millionaire, just dropped a few weeks ago. We're getting close to about 300 plus sales.
That's
You know,
awesome.
got a couple speaking gigs now coming lined up. I got one in Hartford in June. I'll be the keynote speaker for a high school,
That's
and I'm
cool.
excited to motivate the young men and women, and to let them know that even if you go through any trials and tribulations, you can overcome them and still be successful. You know,
Absolutely. That's what the whole
uh,
podcast is about.
yeah. So like I said, things weren't. I mean, some things were easy for me, but I had to overcome a lot. Not only losing my own blood family, but also my mother and father. They died in my arms as well. Unfortunately, with my mother, I wasn't able to be there, so that hurts a little different. You know what I mean? I didn't get to say I'm sorry for some of the things I did to her as a young boy, and even a couple mistakes that I made as a young man. That's something I'll have to take to the grave. But I'm very thankful for her. She was very hard on me, and everything that she did, to be honest with you, that I didn't really understand as a young man, I now know. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, think about it nowadays. For example, my kids, they want to go to eat. Dad, can we go get pizza? Can we go here? We'll, oh, no problem, no problem. My mother, what? She wouldn't take us out to get pizza. No, pizza. You know what I mean? She would call in a pizza place. The pizza was what, $15,
Yeah.
$20.
Right.
Now I go to a pizza place when my kids want to eat. I'm spending 50, 60, $70.
Yeah. Literally, man. It just never stops going up. It's gonna be $100 pizzas one day.
So what happens is that's part of inflation. That's a part of the economy changing. But you got to remember, you got to be smart with your finances if you're able to do that. I didn't go to the movies as a young boy. I only went to the movies twice in my life as a young boy, and I remember the movies like it was the back of my hand: Star Wars and Titanic.
Unforgettable classics, man.
Yeah,
But I
but
see what your point is.
I say that for this. My kids want to go to the movies. I do it all the time. A couple $100.
Yeah.
I have the finances, but my mother taught me, listen, just because you have the money to do things doesn't mean you do them. You got
Right.
to be smart with your money. It's not necessarily about making your money, right? You got to know how to keep your money.
Be
You got to
smart
let the
with it.
money make money.
Right. Yeah,
So,
that's true. I agree.
so right now, like I said, I have my book, From Orphan to Millionaire. I'm working on my TV show, Single Fathers, getting that sold to a network. Excuse me. And I'm building up my podcast, Parental Vision. So those are the three things. And then now I got speaking gigs that are coming up. So now I'm using those 3, 4 projects to help facilitate other investments.
Smart
So,
man. And these are things you're passionate about. That's the main thing too.
oh man, I love kids. So single fathers, I love great mothers and fathers. That makes me happy. My book, to be honest with you, like I when I was younger, I never thought about writing a book. It wasn't until, to be honest with you, this past year, I was, Steve, you got to tell your story. You got to tell your story. I'm just like, who cares? But now I have a different perception on it after doing my book seminar. Did really well on that. That I was able to motivate a lot of men and women, and I've been getting a lot of emails and text messages and everything like that. That, Steve, your story is inspiring me, and I go, that makes me feel good. So I'm glad that what the stuff that I went through is motivating others to do the best or go after their dreams and aspirations.
Yeah. I mean, a lot can be learned from that. Let me ask you
Yeah.
this question though, like on the opposite side of that. What do you think would have happened with your life if you wouldn't have ever got adopted?
Oh man, I'll be honest with you. I'll be running a drug cartel, or I would have been killed or in prison. Those are the three things.
Damn.
You
Yeah,
know.
and that's just see just a little shift of opportunity really presented and opened this whole door for you to have this legit life and not,
Yeah.
be involved in all that crap
Yeah,
back
no,
there.
and it's funny. That's a great question you asked. My father, when he adopted me, he did ask me one thing. He goes, "Never run a cartel." That's all he asked me. He didn't say don't rob anybody, don't, do any crime stuff. He didn't say any of that. All he said is never become a drug cartel leader.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
Yeah.
that is a good way to look at it, because that's what ruined being your
My
early
life.
family like that. Yeah, your life like that, man.
And plus, remember, being a young kid, I seen a couple things. I know some insights on certain things. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is on that.
hmm Well, Big Steve, I appreciate you coming on the podcast and sharing your story
Thank you.
and motivation. And of course, I'll put your book, your
Yep.
podcast, and everything in the
From
video
Orphan to
description.
Millionaire, everyone can go buy it online. Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, any major book platform, and then check out Parental Vision at parentalvision.com, parentalvision-.com. We're on all social media platforms as well. Thank you for having me. And that's pretty much it. I'm excited, and yeah, this is great.
Yeah, this was a good chat, man. And I'll be in touch. And everyone, thank you for tuning in. And please check out Big Steve. Please go support him. He's got a really good story, and he's faced a lot of adversity. And it's just goes to show that you can make anything with your life if
Yes,
you
sir.
really want it. So thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Steve has faced a lot of adversity in his life, but he has overcame it over and over again. Steve is truly the definition of someone investing in themselves. I hope this story can help someone that may be going through what he did. When all the odds were stacked up against him, he still pushed through it. Please comment any key takeaways that you got from this interview. Please share it with anyone that you think will enjoy this type of content. Please be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it as well. If you want to get notified when the next episode drops, please be sure to hit the notification bell, and please subscribe to my channel. At the end of this video, a playlist will pop up of all the other interviews I've done in the past. Thank you again so much for watching, and of course, we'll see you on the next one.